What's going on, guys? Welcome to our podcast, Walking Manifestator. I am your host, Alexa Peña, and in this podcast, I am on one mission and one mission only, and that is going to help you awaken your truest and highest self. Embrace and embody your true power and help you elevate to a completely new consciousness. A transformational journey with the Walking Manifestator you are born to be. What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for tuning in to yet another episode of Walking Manifestator. I'm your host, Alexa Peña, and in today's conversation, we're gonna get into a much needed conversation, which is all geared around how to stop people pleasing. And I'm gonna start off with a quick story time because I learn best through examples. And if you're anything like me, that is how you're also going to learn. And I wanna start off with my journey to Peru. I mentioned a few episodes back that journey was a journey to connect with my truest and highest self. That was literally the intention behind this journey. That journey was and has been and continues to be a journey that is unfolding and has been very eye-opening. It has led me to understand myself in perspectives that I had not considered in a very long time. And the biggest one that I want to share with you, because it's been the biggest level up that I've had in these past 3 months, has been to stop people pleasing, to get rid of this good girl mask that personally, I'm going to share with you what I would think when I would have this thought process, okay? Because maybe this is something you're going through. And as I've mentioned, the content of the podcast is changing. I am gearing a lot of my material specifically for women. However, I want to make this very clear to my audience, for my men out there that have been supporting from the beginning. I am still giving these nuggets of information that are going to be applicable for any human being, okay? Whether you're a man or a woman. But I do want to preface the fact that I want to be able to teach from things that I've embodied. And this is why I have taught my students to always lead with something that gives you the highest excitement, because that's what I've taught through teachings and through teachers of my own. So now that I've got that out of the way, I really had this moment in my journey that I was at a conflict between two identities, okay? One identity was the old identity, was the there's a door, take it or leave it personality, the personality that was very toxic. And maybe you can relate to some of these characteristics, right? The characteristics that were geared around narcissism or geared around self-entitlement, geared around thinking that you're the victim, geared around thinking that the world owes you. All of these labels that were created based off of my paradigm, based off things that I had conditioned myself through. And then when I started my healing / shadow work process, it led me to this like pendulum swing in which I felt that now that I knew the material, especially the law of one, which is the main message behind this channel, talking about the law of one and embodying it, not just talking about it, but I really wanted to make sure that I could explain to more people how this journey, when it comes to tying it back into the law of one, let me go back in, okay? For me, when I talk about the law of one, this is something that has been a catalyst in my journey because I listened to a message that to me made sense in every fiber of my DNA, which is that you and I are all connected to this higher consciousness, okay? And this is why in this how to stop people pleasing, it's important to understand that when I went out there and I was trying to connect with my highest self, and this pendulum swing went to the far right of me, being this toxic personality to now going to this, I understand the law of one, I can't be an asshole with people. I was trying to people please. I was so consumed on how I was going to come across. I was so consumed with how somebody was going to take the message. I was consumed with all these different perspectives that truthfully had nothing to do with me. It was simply that I was in my head about things that really shouldn't have bothered me, shouldn't have mattered. But because I had not turned on this one thing that I'm going to teach you how to do on this video, that was the reason why this feminine energy was shut down. And subconsciously, I was still repelling a lot of things, even though things were really great in my life. And even though things looked really good from the perspective of somebody looking out and looking into my world, right? Of, oh, well, you have a house, and oh, well, you have, 3 successful businesses, and oh, well, fill in the blank. This is why I really wanted to get into it today, because I've noticed that the biggest thing that shifted for me internally is that I stopped being in other people's heads and I was more so in my body. And that allowed me to, and I have my notes, okay, because I took them out from my Feminine Essence Glow Print course that I'm putting together for my Walking Manifestator community. For those of you that have been following along, I have 2 courses already for my community and they've been very successful. And now I'm launching our newest course for the feminine embodiment. And this is really something that excites me, because now, again, talking to my girls here, when you're in this people pleasing mentality, you're going to subconsciously act in a very, very low vibration, even though you're not even realizing that you are. And that was me, okay? Some examples that you might have is saying yes when you want to say no, okay? Or maybe you're lowering your standards when people are telling you that you're too much, right? And I've always said, no, you're just, it's not that I'm too much, is that you think too little of yourself. So another one is smiling to avoid any kind of discomfort or disapproval. And oh my gosh, those were something that personally I really struggled with. Like saying no when I really wanted to say yes, or saying yes when I really wanted to say no. I want to invite you to put out all the boundaries of your non-negotiables, okay? This is like your number 1 step, because this is the thing that if I could put my finger on when I got back from Peru and I told the universe, I told God, I'm ready to connect with my truest and highest self. I really wanted to get clear on what I was not willing to continue to accept in my energy. That meant relationships with friends. That meant partnerships. That meant a lot of revaluing all over again. And this is why I say that this journey that you're deciding to embark on, it's an everlasting journey, but it's a beautiful one, because you start realizing that when things are, and I'm doing my little bunny ears over here if you're listening to me on podcast, right? But like, this is where you get to understand how everything is connected, right? And this is why I say that once you understand that everything is connected, you now understand that every rejection is simply a redirection. And you stop freaking out about it, because you actually now get excited for it and you say, wow, in what new way is my life about to change? So I want you to get crystal clear. And this is something I tell my girls when I'm coaching them one-on-one. Get very clear on what it is that your new boundaries are. What is that new identity that you are prepared to step into? And Neville Goddard really talks about this, and I highly, highly, highly recommend you buy the book, the deluxe book from the Neville Goddard collection, and just read it like every single day. But one of the biggest things that he talks about is the law of assumption, right? Living in that state of not thinking of it, but thinking from it. And for me personally, I noticed that shift when I came back from Peru, because I spoke to the universe and I said, I'm ready to receive this highest embodiment. And it took some turbulence. It took some things to happen in order for it to make space energetically for this new embodiment. And I am telling you, the way that things are flowing is crazy. Right now, in a matter of 3 months, I just signed up 29 new students to our Walking Manifestator coachings. And this is why I believe firmly in the power of manifesting. If you go back to a few of my videos, and I've been doing it recently because I love to just see how when you invest in yourself, even like your face will start changing, like your features will start changing. And there's this girl that I really like her content as well, Alex Gigi. She talks about like magic for your face. I do gua sha as an example. Gua sha to like do the jawbone structure to really like just, tone it. I've been seeing the features, and I will put pictures here for you to see the difference of how I looked and how I am looking. And this is why I believe that every single thing you're telling yourself is creating this new reality. But when you embody it and you go and actually stop thinking about it and you just think from it, and like in this example, I was laughing the other day because I was driving and I was just stupidly happy. Like, I can't even explain it to you. I was just like driving. I was just in like this imagination of my reality of me driving to this like alternate reality of mine, of my new house that I'm manifesting. And that's another conversation for another day. But I was driving and I literally pictured everything and I just got stupidly happy. And this is where it hit me. I was like, this is why so many people are not manifesting, because they're going and singing Kumbaya in their broom and meditating. But then the rest of their day, the rest of the freaking 12 plus hours, they're talking negative stuff to themselves. So that, number one, is going to completely change, because now you're getting very clear on that standard and you're not just saying yes to things that you really would want to say no to. Now, number two is lowering those standards when people are telling you that you're too much. And let's really talk about that. So I was somebody that for a long time, I was very clear on what my standards were. And I'm going to talk about this, and it's going to, trigger the people that it's going to trigger, and it is what it is. A lot of men out there, they believe that as women, we should go 50-50 with them. And that's something that I actually had different perspectives on for the longest time. I'm a mom of 2 boys, okay? So my perspective, I wanted to make sure that I considered all perspectives. And when I was younger and I did not have my kids yet, I used to have the perspective of my grandmother, which was, there's no need for you to have a man if he's not going to provide for you. Why would you want to have a man? But at that point, her example wasn't really that. So her dynamic with my grandfather, they both worked. So it wasn't like she was a stay-at-home mom. They both were providers, and I saw that everything was 50-50. So when I grew up, I decided at one point that a man should be able to provide. I got this like belief in my mind from the quantum field, because I wasn't even like reading material at that point, but I felt like a man should provide. And I remember having a conversation with this person, and I was very clear about what I was looking for in a relationship, and that person ran for the hills. And I remember feeling like, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is not how it's supposed to work. So I changed my dynamic to embody my grandmother's perspective, which was a man and a woman should go 50-50. And here's what now my internal work has led me to understand. A man and a woman have 2 different roles, okay? And let me preface this. You cannot expect this high quality man that gives you princess treatment and takes care of you and loves you and pampers you and gives you because he's a giver. Meanwhile, you're a selfish, you know what? That simply doesn't work. And maybe you'll see it happen with some relationships, right? Some people that are dating people that are really wealthy and the girl's really pretty and they're cheating on them, right? That's where you see those dynamics, because there's not an equal respect. There's not an equal exchange of value in that dynamic. So the way I like to see it now is I need to become the very best version of myself. I need to be a queen on my own and have this queendom on my own. And then my king is going to also come, and we are going to build this amazing kingdom together. Now, that perspective to men that have not worked on their also internal trauma, internal wounds, childhood traumas, you name it, they are going to get triggered by that, because they are going to say you are a gold digger because you're asking for a meal. You're asking for this like exchange of them providing what, again, if you've done the work and you've done these things that have now made you a high value woman, then of course there would be no issue for that exchange to happen. But where I'm going with this is, for me, I teach my boys this, okay? I have, like I said, 2 boys, and For me, my oldest one is the one that I can have more conversations with, and take what you will from this conversation and leave what you don't need, okay? But my 8-year-old, well, now 9-year-old, he just turned 9 a few days ago. My 9-year-old, he is very much aware that a man is supposed to provide because he sees his mom and he sees how much of a hard worker I am. And his words are that he wants to provide for his family when he's older, because he wants his woman to be able to do whatever she wants to do. If she wants to start a business, if she wants to be a stay-at-home mom, but he wants somebody that's gonna have a good head on her shoulder. It's gonna have the qualities of a woman that I am. And that made me really happy, because I know I have my own things, okay? I know I have my own stuff that I'm still working past. And he even tells me, he's like, Mommy, you're changing so much more. And those things make me happy. But why I wanted to say this to you is because myself, I've been doing a lot of internal work, and I will always continue to do internal work, because I think that somebody that is a teacher should always be a student. And for me to teach my students, I need to always be a student, okay? I was very much in this energy of, even when I've been single, of just thinking that I was missing something. I remember at one point, this person had told me, you need to remember that you're the sun, and that anybody that comes into your system, into your solar system, they're just a planet. You know, you're the sun, they're revolving around you, and you have to continue to be centered. And I didn't really understand that at that point. But now it has hit me in ways that I did not realize were possible. Because now I understand that this is me at the top of my pyramid. Well, let me correct myself. God is at the top. Then it's me. And then it's my whole ecosystem of my kids. And then at one point, my future husband, and then my family, and all of these variations of what come in this ecosystem. But what's happening is that a lot of the times you're not clear with these standards, and you're working on your own internal, dialogue and turmoil. And then you're going out there and finding this toxic person that is a taker, and you're over here working on being a giver. And then you get into this toxic dynamic. And then you get into this people pleasing. And then you get into this rabbit hole of going back and being exactly where you've been in the past. And then you wonder why you can't find love, or why you can't find good friends, or why you keep getting fired. But you keep setting the same standards. Therefore, you're gonna keep being at the same exact place where you were when you first started. So that is something within itself that if you can apply and you can understand that you are the sun, you are the number one important thing in your life that you need to prioritize. And when you start to understand that prioritizing yourself is what's actually going to quantum leap everything for you, my gosh, things just become effortless. And I'm telling you, this is literally the formula from ancient scripture. And I'm going to read it to you from the notes that I have on the coaching that we're going to be having. So if you're interested in enrolling for that, definitely join the Walking Manifestator community, because I'll be alerting the community there when the course is ready. But here it says, conscious thought times action equals your manifestation. If you have listened to the newest trends, they talk about your thoughts, your actions, and your feelings are what create your manifestation. This is literally coming from over 6,000 years ago. This is why I love reading and geeking out about ancient scriptures and just learning more of the stuff that our ancestors have left behind. Because if we don't question these things, you stay in this little box, and you then conform to everybody else's version of who you should be. And you never get to really live up to your full potential. And I don't know about you, but I think that's the saddest thing that you could do for yourself. Like, one day you're gonna die, well, ascend, as we like to say in my house, but if you like to use that term, you can say die. And you're gonna go into a different dimension, because it's been proven. You're not gonna, your energy, you cannot be destroyed. So you're just going to literally transcend into a different variation of you. Where you're going to go, I mean, we don't know. We have that up for debate, because that's some stuff that some people do say that they do know, because there's a lot of information out there. I've talked to you guys about soul contracts, but what we do know is what we have here. And what you cannot argue with anybody is that anything that exists now came from the quantum field. Anything that is now came from a thought. So if you can understand that you doing the internal work is going to lead to you actually loving yourself more, to you actually raising your standards more so that you can stop people pleasing, that is how you start making progress. And the last one that I'm gonna finish off that I talked about earlier is when you're smiling too much to avoid any kind of disapproval or confrontation. That was me. And I've even noticed it in my videos, like at the beginning of my videos when I first started on my journey, I would smile all the time because I just didn't want people to think I was being mean. But now I'm like, I'm not being mean. I'm giving you my message with love. This is my energy. This is my phase. Take it or leave it. I can't do nothing about it. And I'm just going to come and show authentically who I am. And when you can come with that perspective, I did that the other day. It was uncomfortable for me because I've never just not smiled back at somebody, you know, when they're like saying something to me and just like stared at them. I felt that was very awkward, but it was so empowering. Like after I was done and this person was just staring at me, like waiting to see if like I was going to give approval or disapproval because I had just stared at them the whole time. It was the best feeling. And I'm saying this to you because it allowed me to get out of my head. I wasn't worried about, am I smiling? Do I have something in my teeth? Oh my gosh, what should I say next? I was literally just staring at them because I was literally looking at their soul by staring at their eyes and paying attention to them. And then after I processed what they said, I was able to literally process and say back what I needed to say. I hadn't been thinking the whole time of my answer, which is what 99% of the time we do. Somebody's talking and you're already thinking of what you're going to say. So with that being said, I hope these 3 tips were helpful because they've been super helpful for me. I'm going to continue to put more tips out for you guys. So if there's anything in particular that you'd like for us to cover, feel free to make sure you reach out to us. And again, if you're not in the Walking Manifestator community, why are you not there yet? I'm telling you, great things are happening because yes, we are manifesting over here and I want you to be part of it because I know people are watching and I see the because you could see the analytics, you know, when people are downloading the podcast and watching it. So I know I'm not talking to nobody. But the only way that we get it to grow is the community. So engage, okay? So if you like what you're hearing, engage, don't be shy. Let's be friends. Connect with me on Instagram and we'll talk on the next one. Until then, if nobody's told you, remember, I love you. Oh, and the last thing, my newest outro is going to be, remember to grow, glow, and flow. Okay, that's it. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching yet another episode of Walking Manifestator. And with that being said, I want to remind you, visualize, embody, and transcend. Be the walking manifestator you are born to be.